What's up, everybody out there in podcast world? I hope y'all are having a great day. We today's episode, we're gonna talk about we're gonna kind of rehash AHR Expo. So Everett is going to be on the show with us, and we're going to talk a little bit about just taking it all in. I've been to the show several times. It's Josh's first time, Everett's first time, and we're going to talk about some of the booths we visited. We did a lot of recording, so we weren't able to visit as many booths as we always like to. But we're going to give some highlights on the things that we found, and really just what to expect when you go there, and kind of this year versus last year versus the year before that, kind of how it feels to me it was. But
I think we could probably touch even on what the current, present, and future of the HVAC industry looks like, because we had the privilege of interviewing some badass guests, like really badass people, and we're gonna have some really great content coming very soon once we get all that edited. Because do you know how many episodes we recorded? It was like 15 or 16 in 3 days. It was something ridiculous like that.
I actually think we got to 18 by the time it was all said and done. Like, because you did a couple by yourself, I did a couple by myself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and literally, if you guys could imagine, Tersh and I, we literally were taking stuff out, setting it up, recording, putting it away, running to the next booth, setting it up, recording, coming back, maybe getting lunch or going to the bathroom, and then doing it all over again. It was great. Like, I love being busy, so that I loved it. I would rather do that than just kind of sit there and not know what I'm going to do that day. But
we were wide open. Like, it kind of sucked in some aspects though, because there were times where it was like, Greg Fox with Fox Family's Home Services.
I would have loved to get him on.
Dude, he came up and talked for a minute while we were setting up a show, and I was like, dude, I want to stop and talk to Greg, but we were already like 15 minutes behind.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it was the whole time, I feel like, almost. And then going out afterwards and eating dinner with everybody and hanging out.
And getting and you guys like started the week off with no sleep.
Yeah, one night, the first night I didn't even go to bed, and then the next night I think we were out till 4 a.m. So yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, that didn't get off to a good start. So a lot of caffeine, a lot of just adrenaline. But before we get into the AHR Expo, I do want to make a note to everyone who's listening or watching this that we have really put a lot of work into our website and making sure that you guys can get the latest episodes sent directly to you, instead of trying to remember what podcast you're listening to or where you left off, that sort of thing. So every time we release a new episode, we will send it to you guys via email. You guys just need to go to the email, or go to the website, put your email and name in there, and it will automatically happen. And then we'll start sending you the latest updates.
Yeah. What Josh said.
Can you tell I'm the one that fixed the website?
Yeah, he did.
Church is like, what's up? Hey, guys.
Hey,
awesome
Gil.
to see some of the guys chiming in that were at the expo. Gil had a bunch of shows with HVAC Uncensored. We met Eric Thomas, who has Smart HVAC Marketing Podcast, which was great to finally meet him, because you talk offline or online, I guess. You talk online with so many people, and then to see them offline and in person was really cool.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And Gil, I got your text. I'll respond to it after I get done here. But yeah.
And if y'all are watching this, Tersh got some new gear. If you haven't noticed.
You might see, if you're watching this episode, you might see, you will see me changing hats randomly. I'm gonna swap it up with a couple of the vendors that gave out some swag throughout the event.
Tersh is going to be a little bit of the town doorknob this morning.
Yeah,
everyone gets a turn for their brand. So, Tersh, let's start with. I know Everett's going to be coming on here in a couple minutes. What was your biggest takeaway from AHR?
Biggest takeaway, the crowds were a little down versus before, but I'll tell you, one of the biggest surprises that I had was the interview we did with Brandon, and just that whole 10X experience. Like I went in and I was very open with Brandon. and told them like, look, we're like, I don't like, I see this as a company coming in and kind of
Trying to
almost,
capitalize on
yeah,
what's good right now, right?
yeah, low hanging fruit, the industry, like it seems like an easy industry to get into. And he came in, and answered all of our questions. And that episode will be released here shortly. And it was a real big crowd gather, the 10X, the whole HVAC 10X event type stuff. So
Yeah, and it was really cool to be a part of that. So my takeaway from that is that not so much about Brandon and Cardone Ventures, but big money is looking at the HVAC industry hard. Like Brandon had his numbers. Oh, Brittany just commented. Yeah, there
yeah,
we go.
so that's my
Love your hat. But big money, big capitalist money is looking at this industry very hard. Like they are studying it. And Brandon made it very clear that the next 60 months to 5 years is going to be a very big ride or big wave. So
Hey,
buckle
Justin.
up, put your seatbelts on, and make sure that you're riding that wave because it's going to be a very interesting next couple of years for our industry.
Yeah, we had some great conversations. Even that afternoon, that evening, we had the pleasure of going out to dinner with Justin and Noah, and we had great conversation about that entire aspect of the Cardone Ventures, and and exactly like what Gil said, they can't replace us and automate us, so they want a piece now. And it makes, I mean, 100%. I'm right there with you, Gil. I agree with you 100% there. And
so that's the good news.
Yeah, because I feel like several years back, Amazon tried coming in and automating things, and they failed at it really. And I mean,
A lot of these places, these big box, they've tried to figure out a way to capitalize on our labor.
yeah,
And honestly, they're not going to do it because contractors, they may try it, especially when they're new, right? Like what's going to happen? It's going to be like the new home warranty companies. It's going to be the same thing. Maybe you'll get paid a little more, maybe not, but that's really what it's going to be. It's not going to be anything that's going to be earth shattering. It's going to
yeah,
be get your business to a certain point, and then once you have a coach is going to be like, stop making them bigger. Worry about
yeah.
making your brand bigger.
I mean,
But yeah,
that's like franchising. I mean, you
yeah,
can love it or hate it. I mean, franchising as a model can work very well for it. Gil, you see what Gil just said? Walmart
I
just bought
saw that.
Angie.
I saw this. I was going to repost it and then I forgot. But yeah, Walmart is getting in on Angie and Angie Leads and everything Angie and Home Advisor are working on right now. So it's like I said, big equity is looking hard. Like they want in. They're going to find a way. You're going to see a bunch of acquisitions. You're going to see some new entrants to the coaching space they have literally Brinks trucks worth of cash to throw at this industry because they know it's going to be profitable.
Well, there's
So
several of my competitors recently sold out to VCs.
I'm hearing that like all over the place. You know, some people are like, well, I'm the last large family owned company in our market because everybody else is already sold.
Mm-hmm.
So
what is up, Everett / Garrett?
Wait. So I can't one up your wolf fang shoes, Tersh. So, but I did decide that a fedora was the way to go this morning.
I love it.
So,
Dude, I love it. Yeah. That's what's up, dude.
Gil does not agree with you. He asked who the ugly guy at the bottom is.
Wow. Gil, I am hurt.
Right to the soul, man. He just cuts it right to the soul.
Oh man. Jeez Louise. I got the tail end. What's up? I got the tail end of what you guys talking about. Pretty hot topic, right? Because you can just look around and say, okay, is this a tradesman field? You know,
yeah.
you walk around AHR, you're like, holy, the man.
Everybody looked like Tersh. Everybody was in a suit.
There were a lot of people in suits, but those were more manufacturers. I feel like
none looked as good as you though.
Carrier came out in like full effect. They had 30 people like an army of
it was like a blue army.
One thing I noticed though was that it wasn't, I don't want to say it geared more towards, but I saw a lot more commercial and industrial products and industry folk. I got a chance to do like this rooftop. The name of the company actually escapes me, but they make like fans because Supply Smart was there to look at just different product lines that we're trying to build into this like company. And it was a fan company. They make like exhaust fans and vents and whatnot. And they invited us out to go to this like rooftop sort of, cocktail hour and food and everything. It was pretty fancy. It was at holy moly, it'll escape me. But anyway, a really nice hotel, and it was like almost all industrial and commercial guys. And it's humbling because it makes me think about, I live in this pocket of mostly residential repair and replacement world, whether it's plumbing or HVAC. That's the world I live in, and light commercial. And it's
makes you realize how much more is out there.
It's massive. This industry is absolutely massive. So what were your main takeaways?
Well, that's what we were.
Anything new?
Nah, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
I think just the level of expertise and knowledge, like the people we talked to, I mean, it was just,
dude, it was crazy.
It is mind blowing. Like just the changes that are coming. Like we talked with Johnson Controls and DOE 2023, and then the changes coming in 2025. We talked about online pricing with Justin Riley, which was an awesome. That literally went from him, which started drawing a crowd, and people started talking about that because it's a super hot topic right now. And then we had Brandon on with Cardone Ventures.
Yeah, Brandon.
I mean, that was such an awesome Tuesday. Was such an awesome day. And we had Danielle Putnam in the morning and her cat friend, Rosalind. Those ladies were awesome. So it was an awesome show. I think there's so much knowledge out there, and everybody's so willing to give. I think people just need to continue to just ask questions. Stop. Don't feel dumb. Ask somebody a question and just keep asking until you get an answer that is sufficient for you.
Yeah. So don't be an asshole though either. Like don't ask until you get the answer you want to hear.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
be open to a different opinion.
Yeah. Oh, and so for those that don't know who I am, my name is Everett Lippel. I'm the director of sales at a company called Supply Smart, and I also consult for software company Sarah. Many of you know me, many of you don't. So one thing I want to talk about is a little exchange I had. It was nice because I'm walking around booth to booth to booth, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what your guys' takeaway was. It was so massive. I had been to so many different Nexstar and SGI events and just like different ACA events, and I had actually never attended Expo before, and I'm sure you guys have, but I was it was a little overwhelming about how it's almost too big. But I walked by. So the biggest push, in my opinion, of what I could see as far as like an overall theme. So IAQ ends up being like at the forefront. So, and it's taken.
I saw a lot of that too.
So it's taken almost 10 years for this to really sort of, and not that they didn't make IAQ, but now you have this massive push. And I think, PE, private investors in general, has a large amount to do with this. They're looking at this. I did a consulting call not too long ago about this, and it was actually about, if how do you feel about, energy recovery ventilators? How do you feel about, and there's all these different, right? So I went to this one booth. Tell me tell me about this. Okay. What do you think? It's this massive UV bulb, and I'm going to get the name, but it's a massive UV bulb, right? I mean, the UV bulb was like this thick. And it was, well, how much, what kind of cost does this have? And so they're talking about the amount of power that this UV bulb has and the amount of sterilization that this UV bulb can do. And I'm like, okay, so there's nothing else here. There's no PCO, there's no hydrodeionization, there's no nothing. It's just, and they're like, yes, it's just straight UV, but because of how much it emits, it's just incredible. Like, okay, what's the price point on this? Now, mind you, it's an induct, okay, but it's big, but it's an induct. what would be the price point that would be appropriate on something like that? And I'm just curious because I don't think these guys know how HVAC companies run. What would you say? Like if you had this awesome product and it's good for like light commercial, but this thing's good for about maybe, I think it said like 5,000 square feet. So it can't be a huge commercial space, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're probably going to still be able, I mean, to still be, I would say probably $450, $500 ish.
$2,200.
Yeah, that's not going to
$2,200 to the contractor.
Oh, so that's to the contractor. That's not even like what people are selling retail for this thing.
No. And I'm like,
because the problem that you're going to have is you're going to see the $75 UV light sitting on the shelf at your distributor, and then you're going to see this $2,200 one, and you're going to be like, how do I justify that to the client?
Right. But I think the point here, they're saying, well, it does really good in like schools and like hospitals and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, there's a market for it. I see there's a market for it.
Yeah.
But is this a general public sort of, you know, if a contractor's trying to stay at 20 to 25%, even up to 30% material costs on a job, it's virtually impossible to present a $6,000, $7,000 UV system, you know, to a homeowner and be successful.
No,
I'm sure
if it's in a school system, you're gonna have to put one of these in every classroom, every couple classrooms, or a hall, or
otherwise
RCU,
it's not gonna be effective.
There's no way they would have to be a bulk purchasing thing, and Gil Cady makes a great point. UV only kills the things it touches, and it's going to do it. It's not, and air passes over the surface too fast, which we all know. The UV lights, they kill the stuff that's on the coil, that grows on the coils, and they're great for coils.
Localized.
But, yeah.
So I brought this up too, and I had there's people that were just arguing about it for maybe the sake of arguing, but it was like, no, it kills this, and then because it kills that, then it goes and kills other things. And I'm like, dude, it needs surface area. And somebody tried to argue till the cows came home. And you're not, dude, not for nothing, but like I was one of the top IAQ sales reps like in the country. and not that makes me an expert, but I read everything about these products. I'm really sort of like a geek when it comes to that kind of stuff. I really enjoy the IAQ.
And if Everett says it and then Gil says it too,
you know it's the truth, baby.
Gold. I mean, it is. There's no other so.
Man, if y'all listen to this, you guys got to watch this episode. Tersh literally is changing his hats like every 4 minutes. He's just.
This is all the vendors that were at the show and giving us hats and stuff.
I would love to see your closet of hats,
dude. I used to have them stacked on a shelf back there. Man, they just got too crowded. They're just falling all over the place.
I saw you were like they're wolf. Like, okay, so for those that weren't at AHR, Tersh wore this. Tersh wore these. I'm not going to use the word gaudy, but let's just use the word gaudy. Well, I'm not going to use the word tacky.
Flamboyant.
Yeah, that's a good word.
I'm not going to use it. But if there was a way to put those three words together, that's what these were. I think they had sequins on them, and they had wolf.
No, it wasn't sequins. They were spikes. They were metal spikes.
They were very shiny spikes, man. So
yeah, they were.
it was almost bedazzled. And so bedazzled. And so with the wolf fangs, I sort of felt like, okay, this guy has quite the arsenal in his closet. That's what I thought.
I got like 65 pairs of shoes.
So if anyone is interested, we did get a photo of his shoes, and then we put it on our Service Business Mastery podcast page, so you guys can all check that out. Because it was the first day he showed up. I mean, literally, I think he got more people to stop and ask him about his shoes than about our podcast.
That's true. That's true. True story.
Yeah.
So
what else did you guys notice when you were like walking around?
Dude, we didn't. That's what we were saying earlier. We didn't get to walk around a ton. We interviewed Rector Seal twice and seen some new products they had, which was really, really cool. Like the SS2, the SS3, even the SS1. Like they had a lot of improvements on them, and
on the float switches.
Yes, yeah, on the float
Okay.
switches, like they've changed up some stuff, made it adjustable. They like it blew me away at all of the things that it does that I had no idea as a contractor that it does that. Even as minimal as the way that they do the staples on the packaging, like you can ohm it out without taking it out of the package to make sure it's not bad. So yeah, I mean, it's just the craziest stuff that they could do with those float switches.
Did you guys get a chance? So you didn't really go out. So I want to tell you about one product that I saw that I think is going to revolutionize this industry.
What you got?
So back at Service World Expo, and so Landon Brewer has a friend who I met. His name is Brandon. Brandon had a company in Houston, and basically he got involved. Did you guys see this smartace.com?
I heard about it.
Okay,
I've seen something about it.
So this is really cool, and this product, I just love this concept. It's like a device that goes into.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this.
There's these little sensors that go, like, they'll go inside the air handler, they'll go on your vents, they'll go in your wet switch, and it sort of monitors what's going on. So now, like, from a service perspective, you're giving the service company the ability to monitor the how well the system is operating. And then so if it falls sort of out of the parameters of how it's operating, the service company then gets the opportunity to go back and, talk about a repair, talk about a replacement, whatever the case may be. But it gives the homeowner access and an education sort of like how their system's operating. So we started talking about strategies on that too. And I think that the bigger strategy here is not, this product is really cool, but the concept of what I was talking to Brandon about was even cooler, which was, okay, so they're basically saying, like, you could own your market. You could go in to any neighborhood and just basically give this thing away, or literally knock on doors and say, this is what I got, or put it on next door, or whatever the case may be, right? And you can go into a neighborhood that's all 15-year-old houses, and do this as a service. I thought, for monitoring purposes, and think about what is the most valuable thing for contractors to do, is to try to get steps inside of houses, right?
Yeah.
And so this is a line of communication that is constantly open. I love this idea.
Everett, so with this, how did you see him at AHR also?
Yeah, he was there.
So you and I spoke a little bit before the event started, and we were talking about how the Cincy Predict does this. After talking to them at AHR, what what's your thoughts?
Is it reasonable?
The Cincy was cost prohibitive. This thing, they've made this thing, like, I guess they figured out whatever patents, whatever technology they needed. I don't think it's as sophisticated. I think it just does, like, sort of the bigger stuff, right? Like, how the airflow. Is there a drop, right? Is there a pressure drop before and after, right? Like, is there a major pressure drop before and after? Is there water in the pan? Little things that you don't necessarily need the nitty gritty, because you can get back into the house on something small, right? Oh, my airflow is not working so well anymore. Great. Let me see what your filter looks like. Let me see. Dude, I want to say that they were charging $5 or $10 a month. Like, it was a membership.
Materials, or
I'm assuming the materials you would probably put that in during an install or a service call or something.
It's like $100. It's like nothing.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like nothing. So
Interesting.
That was the thing with Cincy Predict. Like, now don't get me wrong, I love Emerson. Emerson has sent me out to their place. You will never hear me say anything bad about Emerson at all. I don't even care if Emerson burns the house down. Like, I just love the people at Emerson, and that's why I think so much of Emerson. the people behind the product are really great individuals. But the price point on the Cincy Predict was just it was just too much. By the time you bought all the sensors, all the add-ons and everything else. We could do it on installs, but you couldn't do it on a service contract client. That's what I wanted was, okay, we have a new service contract client. Let's put this on their home, and then keep them forever. Do you know if this product sent out the monthly reminder like the Cincy Predict does?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't dig that deep because as soon as I sort of like understand the idea, the way my brain works is, okay, well, how could I implement this in my company, right? And how is this going to help me communicate better with customers, keep my customers, and get me more steps in the houses? That's where my brain went. My brain went immediately. Yeah.
Sounds like a future guest for the podcast.
So yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that I enjoyed from the show was, did you go by the RLS booth and get your copper shot glasses? Dude,
the show was like a week ago. You couldn't have told me this before.
Look at this. Look, they got the RLS shirt here. Wrong side. The RLS shirt there. And then I think I got a hat here too, but this was the big takeaway that I had. So RLS they have the Zoom lock fittings now. I don't think it's called Zoom lock anymore, but it's
what's it called now?
I don't know what it's called. Yeah, but it's that stuff, but
it's a press fitting, but it's not the
Zoom lock brand. It's not the Milwaukee brand. It's the RLS brand. And so the shot glasses are basically those little fittings, but they're just regular old copper shot glasses.
That's really cool. Hey, did you guys go to the Viega? Oh, you didn't get a chance to go to the Viega booth. So
I walked past it. They always have a massive booth every year.
Dude, I had so much fun there because one of the things that my customers have been asking me for is a lot of our plumbers are repair and replacement plumbers that buy from us, but a lot of our plumbers, okay, and this is what we hear, like, so these guys are doing like apartment complexes, or like they'll do like, some construction projects. Like we still have a good amount of construction plumbers that buy from us. And so what happens is they stock up, at the beginning of the job, or they just say, okay, here's what I need for my trucks, and just fill my truck stock while we're doing jobs. And one of the things that they've been asking for now, we sell a ton of Pro Press and press fittings. But one of the things they've been asking for is Mega Press. Have you seen this?
That's the big one, isn't it? Like the 2-inch or the
yeah. Well, it can be for smaller applications, but I could be wrong, but I'm like, it's rated for gas piping.
I have seen that.
Which
we don't do. We don't do gas piping hardly at all here. But
there's gas all the way through. We sort of sell everywhere, but even like in Texas, when you're there's gas everywhere.
Gil corrected us. Everywhere. Yeah, get Mega Presses for gas. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and like the way that they showed us how they did it with the tool and everything. My only issue is that we're a Makita. So I love Makita tools. I'm sold on them. I love them. I don't care what anybody says. They cut them open. We're taking a training next week, dude. We're going to the factory, and they're going to the distributor here outside of Dallas. And you just look inside. I'm bringing my whole team. You look inside these drills; they're amazing. So Rigid makes the tool for like Pro Press or whatever the Viega calls their Mega Press kind of fitting, which is neat.
Emerson, right back at it. That's why I love some Emerson.
Oh, does Emerson own
Rigid? Yeah,
Rigid. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, on that note though, I will say, if you guys ever get a chance, if you're ever down here, I should take you over there. They have this massive sort of like training center, and my buddy's the national trainer, whatever. He's a national trainer, and they cut open all the tools, and they show the insides of each power tool. And so they go from like Rigid to Milwaukee to DeWalt to Makita to all of them. It's wild looking inside them, because you look at two different brands, I forget which two it is. I think it's Milwaukee and Rigid, and they're exactly the same on the inside. It's like literally like the same exact components on the inside.
But the price point that you have to buy it is totally different.
Yeah, well, it's a branding thing. And so for us, we just decided on, I got sold on Makita like probably about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. But like, and then I was in the field and I saw a bunch of HVAC guys here and they were all using Makita. And I was like, and I was managing, the company out here in Dallas, and I was like, what's this Makita thing all about? And so, you just see guys with the wall, and it just turns out like there's this whole cult around tools.
Oh yeah, we got buddies of ours, Brent Ridley. He was at the show. Did you meet him, Everett? He has the Tool Pros podcast. Him and Billy Noth, and that's all they talk about is tools, and they'll have tool manufacturers on their show, their podcast, and everything. I mean, I could geek out on their stuff all the time. Now, does Makita? Because I know Milwaukee with their pack out stuff, they have like a cult following. Does Makita have anything like the Milwaukee pack out? Do you know?
I don't know. Here's what I know. I know we just took in like, I don't know, $100,000 worth of tools.
Yeah.
and we're gonna sell them. And we get this training coming up, and I'm so stoked for my team to go out there and do this training, because so funny part about it is like what happens is like my buddy works at Makita, and like people fly in from other parts of the country. And this past month they had all these firefighters from around the country were flying in, and they a lot of the firefighter departments or whatever are looking at what tools they use for literally life-saving jobs, right?
Yeah, like the Jaws of Life type stuff.
Okay. So this is amazing, and I can send you guys pictures. So they have the Jaws of Life out there in the Makita parking lot, and they brought in the fire department from like Philadelphia, another one from Indiana, and they were showing, and there's a tool, no joke, that like is like this thing that like jacks the whole thing, and like it's crazy. I can't even explain it, but it comes in and it rips the whole thing apart. It was actually like half the time of the Jaws of Life. And these fire departments are one by one. They're actually going in for the training. They're like, let's say they're sold on like making sure that's all Milwaukee, and they're all like switching over to Makita now. It's crazy. They got the in Louisiana there was a commission for like the utilities commission. The repair guys like that actually like millions of dollars worth of tools, and they all switched over to Makita. He tells me this stuff. He's like, it's amazing. And now if you if you go to Home Depot, you can see the Makita stuff like on the walls right there. But they're just sort of making a really strong push. It's pretty cool. I'm so glad I was out of the field when the pack outs came out, or I totally would have spent a shit ton on it.
So yeah, all right. Everett, you touched on training, and this was one of the other big takeaways that I had, because we interviewed several people, and
yeah, we did.
The amount of training that your manufacturers, distributors, suppliers, even we had a thing where I posted about TSMs and stuff like that, where these guys have their YouTube channels. Like, training is everywhere, and I feel like contractors are not utilizing these things to the best of their ability.
And it's free training too.
It's all free.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's killing me.
We had all kinds of people.
Yeah. It boggles my mind. Like,
are you guys focusing more on that this year and doing different things with training, like both in person and online?
You're always training. You're always training. You're always getting better. You're always researching. You're always talking to an expert that knows more about something than you do. That's half the reason why we should be going to these events to begin with, is to actually learn from people. I would never have near any of the success rate that I've had in this industry if it wasn't for the amount of training that I did. So if you're a contractor and you're listening to this and you're wondering to yourself, is training worth it? Should I spend time on training? The answer is unequivocally yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I noticed though was there's business groups, right, which are really helpful, right? You have your business practice groups, you have your Next Stars of the world, you have your SGIs of the world. Love it, Service Excellence. Todd Law's over there, love him. I think there's several that are pretty good. The guys over at SNA, I spent some time at Service Nations Alliance, really cool. there's resources out there. And then the nice part about that is that they can then also get you in touch and run seminars and online. And it used to be, man, I got to go drive out to this event, which in some cases you do. But now they've made it so accessible for you to just do these like Zoom sort of, you know, you just have to make time for them. And so I guess if it's, you know, you got to find convenient times to do it. But
at the same time, it's the training itself, like you have to chisel out some time, even if you're busy, to make the training.
Just block it out. Like, I mean, honestly, we're sitting there and going through the Rector Seal and just going through their components and some of the stuff. And Tersh is sitting there. He's like, holy shit, I never knew that I could do that, or it could do this. And, you know, but if you don't take the time for that stuff and you don't contact your manufacturers or distributors or your reps or whoever you have part of your business, you'll never know. Like, every week should be something. Like, and this is where, as business owners, we got to get better at, like, just schedule time. This is training time. You got to figure out what's going to fill that slot. You got to have something every week, so that way you guys are constantly learning and evolving. Because I mean, we had Don Gillis did great with, I mean, super great stuff with him.
And Ty Brenneman was on the show, and he was talking about, he's a great instructor. He does a lot of YouTube videos, but all of his videos are like really just, they make sense. And I mean, we really should have had Brian Orr on the show too, talking about training, because he is kind of the king of HVAC training with the HVAC School podcast. I mean, my guys, they'll listen to those shows between riding on calls. They think that my show is boring, and I don't blame them. But
we went to dinner with Jessica and her husband. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah,
His name is, for HVAC School. And Brian couldn't make it, but Brian sort of like, this was, you know, come on out, you know, and we'll chat and everything like that. And I love Jessica's attitude. What is her last name? I want to say Lang, but that's wrong.
I can never remember. I'll look it up real fast though.
And so from the technical training side, like, love it. I think that there's, again, I came up through like Nexstar and NSGI. What's that? Egan.
Yep.
Yeah, she just posted that somebody stole her phone or she lost her phone.
And Craig.
Like, don't lose
and Craig.
Yeah, Craig. Oh gosh, what incredible people! And we
they
went
are
out to
really
dinner,
good people.
like so genuine. And so there was another guest there, and he runs a YouTube show. He's mostly a commercial guy, and so anyway.
That wasn't Chris, was it? From HVAC Videos? He does a lot of refrigeration out of California.
So Chris and I went out to dinner the next night with Gil.
Okay.
And Chris has 100,000 subscribers.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Chris has 100,000 subscribers, and so, like, here's what I love about that. That dude is on rooftops. That dude is doing refrigeration. That dude's doing a lot of commercial stuff. They're a 4-truck outfit. Like, and he's out there, like, and so okay, and this is my thing. I think that when we talk about training, a lot of these guys have a lot of technical training, and then, like, they might throw their nose up in the air about some of the more salesy end or communicative ends of training. But what they don't realize is that the better they get at communicating and actually entering into that sort of salesy end of because you're providing a service, you're not doing it for free, right? You might as well get good at it. Is that enables you to train your guys better on the technical side of things, to be able to send your guys to school for, bring in trainers. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that really enriches lives. And
changes the tech's lives forever.
Forever. Once that knowledge is in there, like, oh my gosh, there's a better way to do it. I'll never forget. There's a guy by the name. So I worked with a guy by the name of Jordan Wiggins, who's a technician here in the Dallas area. And we were on a call together, and I was sort of training him. Right. And he had just came out of, I think it was Perfect Tech Academy here in Dallas. And he starts talking about, and he just got out of a 6-month Chris is also a smart dude, smart as hell too. He just got out of a 6-week intensive HVAC training course for service technicians. Absolutely life-changing for him, right? And he was talking to his homeowner. I got to show you, like, he's talking to the homeowner. He's so passionate about it now. And he's like, so the issue is with your air, the blower is so kicking. It's supposed to scoop. It's supposed to scoop the air. The air is supposed to get scooped. And he keeps going like this scoop, and I'm standing there at the table, and the guy just like, whatever you want, man, just sign me up. I love it. Like,
you can tell how passionate he is.
I just love the passion.
Take my credit card. It was like a $700 or $800 repair or whatever it was, and it didn't matter. It was the guy would have bought $7,000 or $8,000. It didn't make a difference. He was so passionate about what he was doing. I think we have to have passion. On that note, I'm getting ranty here. I'm getting long-winded here, but I will say I could not believe this, and I'm sorry. I don't know how like, if we steer clear. So I love Mike Disney. You guys know Mike Disney?
No, I never heard of him.
Nah, no idea.
Just kidding. Yeah, Mike's a buddy of ours.
That's right, CEO Warrior. So
yeah,
he bought us dinner the first night.
Yeah,
that's right. That's why you guys didn't hang out with me. So so I was surprised to find out that. So I'm just curious, and if this is an off-topic thing, I don't want to go. But Mike Aguilaro is no longer involved?
Well, so
they got bought or something.
Well, they had some VC money come in. Mike is still involved. He's kind of stepped away.
I have a funny story about that. So I asked Mike Disney about that before, as we were standing outside the restaurant. And he's like, well, I had 17 texts from Mike A before like 7 a.m. this morning. So yeah, I guess he's not involved anymore, but he still is like, he's involved from like, a distance. He still is, it's his baby. He's still very in the background with that stuff, but he's not like the face anymore.
Yeah. Disney and Doug are definitely more the faces of everything.
I've never met Doug. I don't know. What's Doug's name?
So Doug, I can't pronounce it. It starts with a K. I'll have to look it up. And but he's a really smart, really great dude. Came from Japan. Really big into the whole samurai and all of that. I mean, great guy to have a conversation. He really knows VC, the PE side of things. He's been in PE for a long time. And if you ever have a question about PE money, like, some people, like, they've read stuff. Like, I can regurgitate things that I've read. Like, it's easy for me to regurgitate things that I've read. This guy, it comes so natural to him that it's like, oh no, that doesn't even work. Like, you've read that, but that worked over here. That person, oh yeah, I know that person. I personally know the author of that book. I remember when they went through that venture capital, whole process. And so I was like, it blew me away the first. And Doug's not Doug and Mike D, they're completely different from each other almost, or it's maybe not, but that's the way it feels anyways. Doug is very quiet, soft-spoken, and Disney is very much in your face. And if you know Disney, he's just everybody's best friend, and that's just the way Disney is. And Doug is so smart. If you ever get the chance to meet Doug, take that opportunity, because he's going to be that guy that's probably the smartest guy in the room, but won't say a word unless you ask him a question.
So
anyways, long story short, Ron Davis, he is like Disney's the man. And but yeah, what were you mentioning about Disney and all that?
No, that's right. I was. That's why I was wondering if Mike was not involved, and there's VC that came in, and I remember. So you guys understand, like, Mike, like, started this thing in my backyard.
Yeah.
Like
you're from Jersey.
Yeah, you're from that area.
Yeah, dude, right down the bend. And okay, so when Mike started Gold Medal, there were 3 of them. It was like, and so Mike's plumber, Adam, was my master plumber in my company in Jersey. So there's this big loop there. And then when I had friends who were working at Gold Medal at the time, and before he sold to Horizon, and they were talking about this thing that Mike was starting to do. And all of a sudden it like just blew up. And the next thing you know, he's traveling around the country, like talking to companies, and we were all like, wow, he made it happen. It was pretty wild. But I'll never forget Mike Aguilaro handed me a pencil and there was a bottle of water, and he was like, because at the time I was at a competitor and he wanted me to come in and get like the whole treatment, like come in, threw the keys on the desk, like come on, join us. And then I went in the back. They had this big like employment seminar thing, which was actually, it was really smart. Really smart.
Yeah.
So they would bring in like 20 people at a time for these mass sort of interviews and get a feel for the culture. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. I don't think a lot of companies realize how important an open house is, because even the people you don't hire, if you've presented it properly, you've now just done a ton of branding as well.
Yep.
So my buddy who I trained, who is now like a $2 million sales rep, his name is Sean Ruffing, and he started there as a dispatcher, and they started talking about things that they were doing. And it's like, so Mike hands me a bottle of water and he's like, sell me this bottle of water. And I was like, all right. I mean, it was just so stupid, like this stupid exercise, but I'll never forget it. Sell me this bottle of water. And I told him how great this water was and where it came from. He was like, let me give you another avenue on this. He's like, this bottle of water is actually, belongs to Michael Jordan. And it was a different way of thinking about it. And it was like, yeah, I'm going to buy it now. It belongs to Michael Jordan, right? Yeah. But yeah, Mike said one of the coolest things that.
Yeah. Tell me the thing that you mentioned at dinner when we had lunch by mistake on the first day, which was, it was funny, but you mentioned something that Mike A said that really, what he said.
Yep. I'll never forget it.
It's so, it's the same thing for me. Like hearing what he said, just repeat it, because it's life changing, and I want people to really pay attention to what Everett's about to say right here.
So Mike said to me, he said, look, man, he's like, all of these guys out here, especially in Jersey, he's like, it's almost anywhere, right? He's like, all these guys out here, they've been around forever. Okay. They've been around for 10, 20, 30 years. And they've gotten bigger and gotten more trucks and gotten more business by default. He's like, I've started this thing like 7 years ago or 6 years ago, and I'm doing this by design. So it resonates for a second.
You're listening to this, like just stop and think about that. There are companies out there that just grow because they've been in business. I know companies that have been around since the mid 80s, early 80s here in town, and they're the larger companies in town now. And some would say that you've been there for 30, 40 years, like you've grown by default. And then you have another company that comes in 2 years and 3 years and grows to the same size. They've grown by design. They designed exactly what was going to happen each and every day.
You want to know how that's a super important point. Go ahead, Everett.
You want to know how important like somebody can be, like one individual or maybe a handful of individuals can make on your team. This is something that I wanted to talk about, because I think we talk about building a bulletproof process in our business. We talk about, right, you need processes. We really don't spend enough time talking about, and this is going to be unpopular, but talent in your business, whether it be business acumen, whether it be technical talent, technical knowledge, whether it be sales talent is so important for you to have. None of the companies that are currently successful today got there without the right talent or without cultivating the right people and getting the most out of their talent.
That's so true. I mean, what you said there is gold. And I want people to make sure because I've lost talented people because I didn't manage them properly. I didn't lead them properly. And they could have taken me to another level. Looking back, if I had used them in the proper avenue versus where I used them, So like everybody's a tool. That's one of the things that I feel like is, I talk about this in my team a lot. Like everyone is a tool. I'm a tool. You're a tool. And like if you're a flathead screwdriver and the tip of the screwdriver is broke off, like you're going to replace that tool. So if you're not being used properly as the proper tool in the toolbox, you're useless. And Evan, I'm definitely the biggest tool. Not in the good way. Evan's chiming in here. So I do my best to troll Evans and Thaddeus's show every Wednesday.
I do too.
So I will
come on and
I love our Canadian friends.
Last Wednesday, I blew their show up. I literally was sitting there just bugging them the entire time.
But yeah, if y'all don't know about Evan and Thaddeus' show, y'all have to check it out. It's every Wednesday.
It's HVAC Success Secrets Revealed.
Thanks.
Is the name.
Josh, because I couldn't remember it.
Yeah, I got you. So I want to go back to a question that we had that so we talked about the biggest takeaways and all these different things, but what was each of your best experience at AHR?
Best experience.
I can go first if you guys need time.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, I know what I want to say, but you go ahead and say what you want.
So we do these podcasts, and every single one we've ever done was either like in a room by ourselves or it's here, it's virtual. But at AHR, they put you on a stage with people sitting like 8 feet from you. And then there's tables behind that where people are standing. And there's people behind that standing. And the first show we did, I didn't realize how nervous I was going to be. I was like sweating hardcore because I'm sitting like, God, I hope I don't sound like a fucking jackass. But that was one of the coolest experiences I've had in quite a while.
Being in front of a live audience.
A live audience. It was more of a rush. Like you really felt, and then they had speakers so the sound really carried through that area too. But that was my experience. It was really cool, which Tersh, I told you while we were down there, just having this opportunity to do this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoy every part of this, and you and Julie are a blessing for me and my life and my business. So
I think you've seen firsthand how much of a hustler Julie is.
Oh my God. I tell you, so you guys,
man,
everybody when we get the podcast aired for that one, we had the 3 wives. We had Tersh's wife, we had Brian Orr's wife, and we had
Brent Ridley's wife.
Yep. They did a wives podcast. I don't remember what the actual name they named it, but it was awesome. Like they did such a great job. You guys will have to check that episode out because it's really well done, and the girls were hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of great shows there. I mean, I'll tell you, one of the best shows that everybody missed was the one that we did with Danielle and Rosalind. Is it Rosalind or Rosalind?
Rosalind. You called her Rosalind on the show, and then I yelled at you.
Oh, and huge shout out to Gil too, Gil Cavey and HVAC Uncensored podcast. My man, Gil, like Josh gave us a hard time, but every time me and Gil, if we were buddied up next to each other, we were shopping on Amazon. Like he was giving me like where he got his backpack from. I'm like, damn it, man, I'm gonna be broke.
Everett, I'm sitting there, okay, and this was like early in the morning, and these guys, they start talking about all this like gear they're gonna get. Oh, did you see this? You hear about this? Oh, this one's really good. And I'm sitting, I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. So I just stood back. I'm like taking a picture. I'm like, these guys are such nerds. But then every time that I hear them talking about each other, Tersh is like, oh yeah, I got this because Gil said this. Or so I told him, I said, you guys got to set up like affiliate accounts on Amazon. You guys would be billionaires. You guys just keep buying each other's stuff.
Yeah. That's true though. It's true. So how about you, Everett? What's yours?
Well, no, were you done?
No, well, my biggest takeaway, like the whole thing is, I don't remember exactly what the question was.
What was your best experience?
Best experience. That's it. Meeting people face to face, like actually getting to just put your arm around someone's shoulder and take a selfie with them. And like, there's a lot of people who follow the show that we don't get to interact with in person. And that was my best and worst experience because I wanted to spend more time with everybody. But at the same time, it was really cool seeing everybody in person there.
I will concur. I will also, so on that same note, I think as we sort of systemize and automate, and I've said this on almost anybody that talks to me knows that this is the way I feel, but I think that we are no matter what happens, no matter how we decide to sell the systems, we're still in a very human, nice hat. We're still in a very human.
Tersh is such a whore.
In a good way.
A human business. We're still like, I can't stress that, like, we deal with people all the time. So the fact that you both said, look, being live, being in person especially after the lockdowns and everything else, yes, that was huge. And for me, I'll agree with that. I'll go one step further. Same thing with me. Like, I have all of these friends throughout like the last few years who I literally have an online sort of relationship with. I've met maybe once here and there and everywhere, but like, we jive. And like, it was cool for me to walk through, to walk down an aisle and have people run up and be like, Everett. And I'm like, oh, hey, buddy, like, nice to meet you in person.
Right.
And like, it was
but
so
how
funny.
weird
Like,
was it at the same time where you're like,
it is weird at first, right?
I feel like
or
I don't know you, or I'm supposed
you
to
talk
know
to
you.
someone a lot, but you never really look at their profile picture, or their profile picture is something else. You don't know what they look like. And they're like, oh, hey. And you're like, who are you again? And then all of a sudden it clicks and everything's like, oh yeah, we talk all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I did to Josh.
Did you guys didn't go to the women in HVAC event, did you?
Nah, we didn't.
We didn't.
We had dinner with Justin.
Okay, cool. Yeah, women in HVAC, that was neat. Spent a lot of time with Gil, probably most of the time between like we're just like very similar people, so then we just end up like sort of like flocking together. So that just the way that it worked. My buddy Phil Grego that was there with me had an incredible time. So, and this is something like, he works for a large HVAC outfit in New Jersey and plumbing, but they don't belong to any business groups because they're such a big company that they just do everything themselves. They don't really encourage their employees to go out, and they do all the training is like internal. So they don't let them go out into the world and really spread their wings. It's a very strange sort of way that they do it, but that's just it. So they're very insulated. So him being able to come out and seeing like the industry at a whole at a glance was like sort of like, dude, he's been in this for like 12 years for the same company because it's stable and they always have work and he's always busy. So, and he's really successful. He's one of the top reps in the country. And like, he just doesn't like, it's just, they don't do it. So I felt so good for him to be able to spread his wings and get out there and meet people and sort of educate himself on stuff that's happening. Cause everything that he knows, it gets handed down through through senior VPs and then management and then down the chain. He doesn't get to see their stuff.
It was really cool meeting him too, and hearing his just his take on things. Like when we had that accidental lunch, and it was I'll tell you the backstory on that. So Phil and Everett, they were sitting there eating lunch, and Josh and I and Julie, we were just walking around trying to find somewhere to eat. I wanted pizza, honestly, and so we found the pizza joint. And I was putting my stuff down, and all of a sudden I just looked up and I just seen Everett. It was like this halo around him, and it was like,
and you gotta remember, these hotels are massive. You can literally walk
massive hotels,
like a couple miles, and you'll never run into anyone that you know. And then just so happened, this little tiny food court area, Everett and Phil are sitting right there.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Everett, hey! And he looked up.
Yeah, and
he looked like he was about to shank me.
I was gonna shank you. I was gonna, dude. Dude. Your wife, just tell Julie, be like, dude, Julie has to get on the phone with, dude. She is like, if anybody thinks that Tersh runs his life, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
You just need to be around Tersh when Julie's there. Julie is like, I must have told her about a half dozen times, like,
I may seem organized, but that's not actually the case. It's definitely not me.
She's incredible. Like she was working it. Like she's literally part of the reason that we got Cardone Ventures on the show. I mean, she was working it with some of the reps that were walking around. She's like, "Oh yeah, you got to come over here and do this." And then they had the drone. They had a drone overhead where we're trying to air it. I'm like, "What the hell is up here?" But
yeah, they're always recording. I got to meet that guy at Victor's event in Vegas back in October.
Oh, Grant Cardone.
Brandon,
I mean, he spoke.
Brandon. Yeah. It's there's an event that's coming up in March, the HVAC one, HVAC 10X event, and I think it would be good for people to go visit. I mean, it's not much to go to the event, and I think Josh and I will be there, and it's going to be one of those things where, I mean, obviously people will have their guard up on it, but after talking to Brandon, like he genuinely
knows his stuff. Like
he does, and it sounds. Now keep in mind, I will still continue to educate myself on this, but it sounds like he's genuine about wanting to help business owners improve their life and improve their livelihood.
Yeah, I don't doubt that the intentions are probably pretty good, and I think that they come with a world of business knowledge. I've now seen Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank. I'll be scrolling through Facebook, and then all of a sudden he'll have an ad about the HVAC industry, and I'm like, okay, so there's big pockets that are trying to break in.
So how do we get on Shark Tank? Is my question. Like, we got to get somebody on Shark Tank in the HVAC.
I don't even want to be on Shark Tank. That's so intimidating.
I'd be so nervous. That show's awesome.
I worry about where this goes next a little bit. Not that you're going to stop the train of like progress, but it's going from like Chuck in the truck to very sophisticated business outfits, which I'm contributing to, pretty quickly. Will the bubble burst? We don't know.
Right. And at what point does the VC dry up, or does it ever dry up?
I mean, it's virtually
if it does dry up, like, or it doesn't necessarily dry up, but if all of a sudden people are like, all right, they're trying to take their money out, obviously there's just, if you know much about VC, there's 7-10 years of like, you have to like you commitment towards the money. But then at the end of that, do they just, all right, we're done. Like, just goodbye.
Well, that's what happened.
Close the doors.
That's what happened with ARS. ARS got bought by Charles Bank. Charles Bank owned 78% of them. And then 6 years later, whatever, they pivoted and now they're with a new PE firm. And that's going to happen. The same thing happened with Gettle. Gettle got, had a PE firm. They had a liquidity event. They ended up, moving it out. And look, I mean, it's okay. So it's good to have like capital infusion in our industry. I just think that I think you have to be careful with the partners that you bring on in regards to, if you're going to bring in PE into your business and you're going to remain in the business, I think it's important to make sure that, it's sort of aligned. If the PE is just going to come in and they're really just thinking about how do I roll this up? How do I make this, whatever, and then I'll cut everywhere. Well, you know what? My fear is that, there's probably some good companies out there that have some really cool cultures. Get yourself a PE firm or a company to align with that actually says, no, we want to keep the culture in place here. We want you guys have become successful for a reason. We're investing in you for a reason, and let's keep the flavor of what you have already. And so at least, you're aligned with the money that's backing you. There's nothing wrong with capital infusion. I asked this question at AHR, and I asked this to you guys. With all the amount of PE coming in, buying up contractors, as we know, what is the manufacturing world going to look like? What is the IAQ world going to look like? What is the humidifiers and small components world going to look like with the roll-ups in the next couple of years?
What do you think? I mean, yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. Like, I what's your thoughts on that, Everett?
I think you're going to continue to see consolidation, which is which is in turn might help some efficiencies, right?
Yeah.
But as we've looked at other industries, you've seen the tool chart where like basically almost every single tool made in America rolls up to like one of like 6 or 7 companies.
Oh, right.
So you're gonna, washing machine manufacturers, dryer and washing machine manufacturers, how many are there? It's 4 in the world,
1 or 2,
6 in the world. Yeah, it's like nothing. So I think you're going to continue to see this. And I think with HVAC companies is virtually impossible. The market is just you have HVAC companies and plumbing companies on every street corner in in every city. So I don't think that that's going to happen I don't think that's going to happen. But I think it's dangerous, and I think that people who are currently people who are currently like running a business and they're trying to get to the next level, I think that it's still super important to be involved. We go back to this training thing. We go back to this, boots on the ground, keep it a humanistic business. I think my only fear here, not fear, but my thought of where it goes is really what's next, and is the next thing more of like a complete and entire, and you're seeing it, subscription-based model. And I think that we're going that direction, and I don't mind that. You guys understand what I mean, right? Like everything is subscribed to. Everything's going to be subscribed to. Like, okay, great. You have a service that you need. We'll go ahead. We'll bundle it all. Here's your sort of plan. And I know that like Service Experts is, very much pushing their lease program. So I think that everything's going towards this like fixed expense over a period of time, so that these companies have massive amounts of annual recurring revenue that they can continue to go in on. And I think there's ingenuity there. I think that the whole transactional piece will still always be there. But the smarter companies, I think, are going to end up getting on some sort of subscription basis, and not just maintenance contracts. Maintenance contracts is scraping the surface.
And I think this all goes back to the education, making sure that you're educated on a lot of things. Like, don't stop educating yourself, because a lot of this stuff is coming through, and you could get into some bad deals if you don't know what you're doing, or you're getting bad advice. Like, you need to have a network of people that you can reach out to and have that conversation with.
I agree with that. The peer-to-peer groups, I think, are invaluable when it comes to that, because even the Facebook groups, you could, now don't take this the wrong way, but you can get bad advice in the Facebook groups too. But there are people who
terrible.
Oh yeah. You can get terrible advice through their Facebook groups, but you can also see some people who have experienced bad partnerships, bad, franchise engagements, and bad PE ventures, or VC ventures. And they're willing to share with you, even if they don't share it publicly, they may DM you and say, hey, look, this is what I've experienced. And so don't be afraid to ask. It is, I guess, my biggest takeaway with that. That we're over an hour now, but I mean, we could talk about this for hours. Everett, really appreciate you coming on the show. You were on the show with us the very first day, before you had even walked into
7 minutes.
Yeah, for 7 minutes, and I don't even
know. That's
if
because we couldn't get the audio to work.
What was your first, just in case we don't release that episode, what was your very first impression of the show? Like, when you walked in, you didn't really have time to take it all in, because we had we came in and the podcast pavilion was right there in our face, which was awesome. But what was your first takeaway? Like, when you first, like, kind of maybe even after we interviewed and you kind of walked around and you were like, because you got to stay in there. You didn't have to leave.
Oh yeah,
for like 2 hours. I talked to
hundreds of vendors. I talked to dozens and dozens of vendors. Yeah, dozens. I mean, literally had conversations with dozens and dozens. Filled my entire day with it, full force. Like, this industry, it like smacks you in the face. Like, this industry is like guns a-blazing. That's what I got out of this. It was like Evan Hoffman, 7 minutes in heaven. What in the world is he talking about? What is happening? Ridiculous. That's what I thought. That's immediately what I thought, Evan. That's what I thought was guns a-blazing. These guys are out. Everybody's dressed. mean, we've got like, I mean, dude, there was a massive amount of people there. And I mean, the suits were out, PE was there. I mean, there was like people just needed to be there, right? It was like, we're going, we're doing this. It's been 2 years, since we've, there's a lot of people that haven't come out of their shell. It's like people just literally like crept out of the basement and they were like, let's go. And so that's sort of the vibe that I got. And then, dude, there were so many vendors there that, I mean, I can't even scrape the surface about all the new and intuitive sort of things. The software companies that were there, obviously I'm partial because I represent Sarah, but like the software companies that were there, and I'm having dinner tonight with you guys know Kathy Nielsen?
Yeah, Chicken Lady.
Yeah, so I'm having dinner tonight with she's in Dallas. I'm gonna have dinner with her and Christian Dunwoody. You guys know Christian Dunwoody?
I know the name.
I don't
know what he is.
So he works for Scorpion. He's like the national sales manager or regional sales manager. Super cool. And that's what I was gonna say. That was my thing. We're all back together. Like the band's back together. Like we're I think with in shows, I'm going to PHCC QSC at the end of the month in Sarasota. It's like floodgates are open. Like let's roll.
Yeah, I think if people can take the time, especially because it's February, late January, when I know some people don't participate in slow seasons, but it generally gets slower. Take the time to get to an expo like this, because it's going to put your problems in perspective when you look at the size of this industry. Like your problem with your one tech is very minor. I mean, this is a massive industry, and I think it would behoove anyone to experience that and to just see the size of what's possible, because staying in your little bubble where you're in this one little market, this world it's a big world. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, was just realizing how large it was.
Yeah.
Tersh is still changing hands. Did you get it? Tersh, did you get everybody?
Tersh, where's my hat that says HVAC, that says Service Mastery Podcast, and then the Wolfgang shoes, size 11?
Everett, we will be working on hats and gear. The next time we see you, we will have something for you, brother.
Oh, yeah, by the way, guys, and you guys are so humble. Congratulations on the nomination for top 3 podcasts in the country for the trades. That's incredible, guys.
Oh yeah,
like
I don't even think I told Josh that.
That's
you did tell. It was like in passing. It was like, no big deal. But yeah, Tersh was at
that's last incredible.
Tersh, you want to talk about the HVAC Tactical Awards thing real quick, since I know we're.
Time, but yeah. So it was put on by Solderweld, which I don't have a Solderweld hat, but I do have a lanyard. But it was it's the HVAC Tactical Awards. So it's an award ceremony that goes out to a lot of technicians. It is technician focused, really focused on technicians. I was nominated. I was actually able to give out an award, which was amazing. It was that I gave out the award that was for the person that you go to, that's your technical advisor when you're out in the field and you're struggling. Who is it that you actually reach out to for technical advice? And Chris with HVAC Videos, he's one of my go-to guys. I mean, when we were doing refrigeration, I always reach out to him. He always responds to me like almost instantly, which is amazing. And I know he's in a different time zone, so it's always trying to figure out, make sure I'm not like waking him up or anything. But yeah, we were nominated with the HVAC Jerks, which great podcast. If you haven't ever checked it out, check out the HVAC Jerks. And then it was us and oh gosh, I'm having a brain fart. It was HVAC Know It All. Why am I having a brain fart? I can't remember his name. But anyways, that's a great show. He's a good dude too, and he actually won a different award. But the HVAC Jerks actually won it. Definitely think Gil got robbed on that one, because I love Gil's show, the HVAC Uncensored.
I see HVAC Uncensored get dropped a lot when like people are like, hey, what podcast books are you looking at? And I see it tagged quite a bit.
Yeah. Gil, he's always had
and
great.
Gil, man, Gil looked great. I mean,
Yeah,
he dresses up. He cleans up nice.
Yeah, he was dapper.
He was dapper. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
in the HVAC world, there's so many great shows out there right now. So, I mean, whenever we first started the Service Business Mastery podcast, I started it because I couldn't find it. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there are. Huh?
Okay.
I mean, I would say like Thaddeus and Evan, they have an amazing show. They always have amazing guests on their show.
And they get to drink during theirs. I'm a little jealous.
They do. It's a little early for us, but I will tell you. So I know we're going so long, but I appreciate everybody that's sticking in with us. But I got this amazing mug here, and it's real nerdy of me, but it's the Excel cheat sheets. So they're cheat codes for Excel. Gary McCready, Evan, thanks, man. But these are all cheat codes for Excel. So if you do a lot of Excel formulas, like they're just how to put stuff together. Anyways,
I like that.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, I'll send you one with a Service Business Mastery logo on it. But yeah. So but yeah, that I love. There's tons of them. Different podcasts that are really good in our industry. Whenever I first started the podcast in 2017, there were 0 podcasts in the HVAC industry for the business side of things. That's the only reason why I started the show. If there was somebody else to listen to, I would have, if anything, been a guest on their show, but not started my own show. But yeah, they definitely several have come and gone, but and it takes a lot to do a podcast. And so, like, shameless plug to us, if anybody, like, if y'all just subscribe and share the show, because it's not something that's super simple. Josh and I take a lot of time out of our days.
I'm sorry, I keep thinking of things. Stop talking. We had somebody reach out yesterday or the day before who's gonna. We've talked about this, and I know there's one guy, the Scientech, Anthony Wright, who does one for his local businesses in Louisville. But he's going to start doing one for his local business network where he lives. And he was asking some questions about StreamYard and some of the things that we have going. And I think it's so awesome because I'm telling you, like the network that you create is going to be so fulfilling, not even monetarily or your business, just
right.
The friendships, the relationships you make are going to be so rewarding long term. And you're able to give back and promote other businesses. Like if any of this stuff is interesting, you guys reach out to us, Gil. I mean, reach out to these guys. Tersh and Gil will tell you. They'll literally just be like, buy this, and you'll be set, and you'll have everything you need.
We do. But so a lot of people don't know this, but I have a local show too, and I purposely keep it as local as possible for SEO reasons. But it is it's great, and that's what, like we were talking about with Anthony and a couple other people have asked us about it, and it's just getting into the networking of the local businesses. And yeah, Gil will also tell you what not to buy. We've all wasted a lot of money on dumb shit, so just be aware of that too. We'll steer you clear of that. But
awesome. Anyways, well, Everett, this was great, man. Everett, thanks for sharing your experience.
This was a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah, man. And where can people learn more about you? Where can they get in contact with you to buy stuff from you?
SupplySmart.com. All the core plumbing stuff, truck stock, inventory stock. We don't have big items like water heaters, but all your couplings, fittings, everything, all that other stuff. And then so I have a referral form for Sarah that because I'm sort of an ambassador for Sarah, the dispatching software /AI.
Sarah.tech, right?
Sarah SERA.tech. Yeah, I have my own sort of whatever. So if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me, and I can
share that link with us, and we'll share it too.
We'll share it appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Cool, guys. Cool. And I appreciate everybody that's hung out with us on the show. And Josh, I'll give you the honors of closing it out for us.
Yeah. No, I think we talked about quite a bit here. Hopefully people just decide that they want to start coming out of their show, come to these events, network with people. You're going to learn so much. So really appreciate everybody listening. And again, we are going to start emailing out our episodes. If you guys want that, it's nothing we're going to push hard, but we do have, if you subscribe on our website, just put your email and name in, it'll go right into our email marketing software, and we'll get the latest episodes out to you as soon as they go live, which is usually like once or twice a week. So sign up for that if you wanna hear from us more often, so that way you don't forget to check out what's going on. And so everyone stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.